Hello there. Welcome back to Charles Circle, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. Last time, we built our first train of the playthrough. And by hauling all of the coal that we mine out here to where we consume it in our manufacturing area over here, this train really bailed out our truck network. It had been full red, nothing idle for the entire episode. And immediately after the train got into motion, we've been hovering at like roughly 20% of our truck capacity idle ever since. That is the power of trains, and that is because no longer do our trucks, every single time they want coal, do they have to go all the way out here to refill, for example, the coal in the steel plant. They just go here. We have done so much of so many truck trips for the trucks with our train. Pretty great. And there's definitely a few more train lines we'd like to add, and we will do that over time as our vehicle parts 2 production allows us to. That's the big component for train construction. But what we're actually going to be focused on today is upgrading our research lab setup. That's because, once again, we're very close to being hard stopped on our progression in the tech tree until we upgrade our research labs to Lab 2. Just like last time, those upgraded labs will also require an upgraded input, this Lab Equipment 2. Lab Equipment 2 requires Lab Equipment 1, which we're very familiar with. It requires paper, which we've unlocked but not yet built, and it requires glass, which we already make but may need to make more of. Let's find out. The first thing we need to do is start the research. We can't build it until we research it, so we'll start there. While that's researching, I'm going to take care of a few odds and ends around the base. The most important thing is this train, this engine, if it's going to be on this end, should really be facing the other way, right? It's been bothering me the whole time. So we're going to do the most important thing first, and that is showing you how to edit a train, right? We're going to pretend like this is an intentional learning experience and not an oversight on the part of your dear narrator. So how do you do this? Well, you can't just go in and edit, unfortunately. You kind of have to start the train over from scratch. It's maybe not the smoothest part of the system. But the good news is we will get quote-unquote credit for each of the components in the train. So what this will look like is we will scrap the train. You can wait for it to go, or I'm impatient. For 1.6 Unity, I will absolutely warp it there. And then we'll build another one. Now, if we wanted, we could have copied that in, at least sort of saved ourselves the, I guess, the setup time, 5 seconds, not so bad. But we're going to put it back on the same line, right? I'm just going to use F to flip here. And we built. As you can see, we already have everything, right? We just sent this train back, so we still get all the parts. But I guess, 18% of that is the assembly process. So it will do that in the background. The other thing I think we probably ought to do, can we name this line? There we go. Let's call this coal. Wow, nice. Coal manufacturing import. Saved. Now we have a descriptor. I mean, the coal icon, and it's our only train, like it wasn't a big deal, but best practices, I suppose, right? Okay. So that's good, and it'll come back out, and it'll take care of everything else from there. The other thing that's probably actually the most important is I realized that since our consumption is up over 8, right? We've started to draw on these diesel generators. We don't want to do that. It's our backup. But it's kind of a sneaky backup, and I really wish there was a way to alert us that it was being used. Unfortunately, I don't think I know of a way to do that. So we're going to have to double up our power situation here real quick, because we cannot have our diesel be consumed that inefficiently. This is the very first generator of the game. This is not what we want. And we're barely keeping up. Like, we can supply this half of the refinery. We could even probably boost it for a bit if we need to here and there, but we really only have the world mine right now to support 120 input, which is the unboosted inputs of these 2 rows only. Now we can fix that, but it'll take some investment, and I'd rather delay that investment. So no diesel for power. It's unnecessary. We've got all this oil byproduct sitting around anyway. So what we'll do is, I think, for now, I'm simply going to boost this, doubling its output. And if we run out, no problem, we have coal here as a backup. And then I'm just going to take these components, slap them down here, and then 2 more of these on this end. Now, as a reminder, we have these cooling towers, right? We need that to process this lower pressure steam. So we'll need to grab 2 more of these. Now, these are nice to have, not need to have. We can just vent this off. It's just expensive from a water perspective. But it's relatively straightforward to put together. So I'm going to bring over our steam, right? This is the same output here, but we'll just bring it down another 2 rows. And then we need to connect to the outputs over here. Now, I think this is probably a little tight, unfortunately. Yeah. That's okay. I think what we might do is, I don't know, something like this? Question mark? Fine. Not tidy, not ugly. And then this output here will need cleared out and turned into a pipe connector. There we go. Now, the only other problem here is, now that I think about it, we pretty intentionally put this balancer in here so that if these are not running, the output will go to our smokestack so that nothing gets all the way backed up. And that's good practice. So you know what? Actually, I think we are going to do that. So let me grab this over here, I suppose. And we'll say, you here, you here, you here. These inputs, these outputs are prioritized, and we just need a backup output, which we will run. I guess it's the lowest we can go across here, something like that. Okay. Bring them over. And there we go. Okay. Now this is super important. So we have to build this basically right away. So I'm going to Unity build. By the way, latest patch just came out. Unity building got more expensive. Tough but fair. So I will probably take a little bit of time to get used to that. But we will probably have to do a little bit more of letting our trucks construct manually. with that in mind, the big things used to get a discount, I guess, the more exponentially large the amount of resources was. So, 70 resources is now 3.5. It used to be much less than that. I don't remember exactly what the old number was, but it was something else. All right, so with that taken care of, we will unpause. And what else can we do? I think we probably ought to keep our terraforming crew in motion. I think we want to keep upgrading. I do think we will also chill out on the boosting here, though, because we are starting to run low on rubber over here, not to mention steel. We'll come back to steel in a second, but I think we need to build our second rubber maker. No problem. To be expected. But this is... Yeah, come on. Spin up. Let's go. This is the ramp-up speed, right? Takes a minute. You're getting what you need, I hope? Yes. Okay. I think, actually, here's a question. Yeah. I think we'll take these off of auto balance. So we were already over 8 power. Each of these represents 4 by way of being able to power 2 of these. 6 mechanical gives you 2 times 2, 4. So each of these is 4. So I think we have to have 2 on not auto balance, and frankly we were already tripping into the 3rd, but we can have the 4th on auto balance. I think that's right. And once this all properly spins up, it's just going to take a second, we'll end up with 12 power plus a variable additional 4 more. In the meanwhile, yeah, I know there was value in having these as backups. I just think it's more dangerous than anything else, so I'm going to delete it, probably in the exact worst moment to do that, but here we are. Why is this not getting enough steam? Because then, naturally, this also needs upgraded. There we go. And by that, we also mean this, and for good measure, this. We can produce the steam for it all, but we do actually have to have the pipe throughput for it, too. That should hopefully fix everything. Again, it'll need a moment to spin up, but now it should actually spin up. I desperately hope. Oh, and the other piece will be, yeah, we'll need to upgrade our water intake as well, which probably means this whole thing should go. And I mean, we could Unity boost this, or I think a more permanent solution would be to more properly set up a second. Oh yeah, that's right. Can't Unity build groundwater pumps or oil pumps, but that's fine. We have this buffer in the meanwhile. All right, is that getting everything going? Yes, it is. We're fine on power. Okay. That could have been a problem. Fortunately, it is not. And this will be still 48 water out, so that's just fine. Okay. Cool. Good. That's sorted. Is our rubber plant up and running? It is. Good, good, good. Is it actually getting the diesel it needs? Because this is the other thing, right? We only allow rubber to be produced if we have enough diesel. And anytime we don't have at least 280, whatever that is, we don't allow this pipe to actually fill up. But it looks like it's getting what it needs. So I think we're okay. think we feel good about that. Okay. We could also get Big Bertha in motion. Probably worthwhile. Out of range, out of range, out of range. Go take that fight, please. The other thing I wanted to do, should have just done this when I built it properly, but rather than pausing belts going back and forth, I would like to properly create a balancer here, just sort of a best practice. And this will allow us to say we want to prioritize trains or vehicles. And I actually think right now the answer might be vehicles. This is creating new trucks for us. Is that the right thing to do? I'm looking over here at coal because I know our train keeps taking it every chance it can, but I kind of feel like not exactly full. Maybe this is okay. Well, it's getting earmarked right away. If I look over here, I see a whole bunch of excavators who don't have enough truck support. So I think what we might do is specifically ask these all to become upgraded from pickups to full proper trucks. And so that way we're still adding trucks, but we are putting them in the place they can be most helpful. It would be, you know, a better pure addition to our network capacity if instead of replacing something, we just added new ones, but I actually don't mind that right now. Again, sort of a cost avoidance thing. I'm a little bit worried about our steel is not keeping up, which I did say we were going to come back to, so let's do that. I want to boost this. I am also finding it very difficult to interact with everything here but not the smokestacks. So this is, I would say, primarily a quality of life thing I'm about to do, rather than anything that's particularly important or like throughput or anything. Although it will certainly save us unity, right? Because we don't have to boost all these smokestacks that go from, you know, they need 72 capacity and they only have 60, and I somehow have to justify doubling that. So we don't need to worry about that, which is great. So I will quickly clear those out and then just rewire the outputs here so that everything comes over to one area, which will have more than enough throughput by itself. 900 exhaust is not going to need boosted anytime soon, or ever. But with these fellas boosted, right, that'll be 48 times 4. I mean, that's, these 4 machines need their own pipe. Same thing is true over here. So we actually need to run 2 exhaust pipes, now that I do the math, over here. So let's do that. 2 Mark IIs specifically, right? That's quite doable. I think we might do something like that. Sort of ugly but functional, and we probably won't be in the guts of this very often anyway, so be it. Actually, this last one doesn't need to be Mark II, so let's be judicious with our... Actually, no, it won't. I wanted to make this another connector, but I kind of think... Will it? Ah, it will. Okay. I thought it would be too near the other connector, but apparently that's not a north-south issue, which I actually think we've probably run into before now that I think about it. Okay, so that's those. And then you, I suppose we should just bring up over top, right? And then say, come on down here. Dang it. Still on Mark 1. I do wish you could scroll, like, while you still had a figure, like, blueprinted. You have to start over, which is too bad. And by too bad, I mean, like, a marginal inconvenience, but, you know. Not the end of the world, I suppose. All right. And there. Okay. Now, all of that gets insta-built, hopefully. I think we're probably low on... Yeah, we are on parts 2. Because steel, right? I mean, that's exactly our issue. Do we want to take a steel loan? Sure, right? That'll help. Good. But now that that's all taken care of, we can boost just like this. Or could, if it didn't think I was trying to build these pipes with Unity. Oh my gosh. All right, last time we'll do it manually. I promise, the whole point of this is to make this process less painful, but here it is. Oh, right, and then we also will need to connect out the nitrogen outputs. That will be important as well. This is a shame to run a whole Mark II pipe about, but it is what it is. So I'm keeping intentionally the nitrogen pipes separate because relatively soon we are going to get the ability to scrub our exhaust, which will reduce the amount of pollution that we're sticking up into the air, which is not a small amount, and it is impacting our citizens' health. So, oh nice. I think we just unlocked radar system. We still have to research it, but we've found it on the world map, which is a good start. Okay, so hopefully that's all going just fine now. Our pile of steel is good, and everything else should keep up with the steel, I think. We've got the Unity. We're low on parts. Let's keep that going. Okay. What else do we want to do here? Let me think. So, I guess we could start talking about paper, right? So we're going to need paper. And we do have that unlocked, at least. Now, paper takes steam, limestone, and wood chips. Wood chips is just logs passed through a shredder. Steam is kind of annoying because it's just a little bit, right? But we have to build a whole boiler about that. Now that said, you know what else you can do with wood chips? You can burn them in a boiler. It's not a super efficient use of trees necessarily, because we aren't exactly producing trees, but we kind of have a few left still. And it's pretty low input, right? 1.5 steam. Now it turns out I think we're going to make 2 of these machines as I think through the numbers, but I think that's okay. This shredder makes 24. We'll take 12 in our machines when they're at top speed. And this is 1-to-1. So really, we'll only need another 3 wood chips to get the 1.5 and 1.5 that we need for steam. There, right? I think that makes sense. So it'd be something like that. And we would run, I suppose, the excess around like so. We'll play around with the layout, but that's basically what we would need. Might as well throw on a smokestack. We'll need some water, right? Water's not far, it's not hard to get. This isn't incredibly crucial, but we'll want a small water storage as well that I think is okay to have trucks keep full for now. So why am I okay with 2 of these right off the bat? So we'll need 4 of these assemblies if we're going to keep our 4 labs going, right? Each of these will require 12 of this lab equipment too, right? Just to run. So if we need 12 of those, well, we'll need 1 of these for every, we'll need 1 assembly for every research lab that we put together. So we'll need 4 of these, which means we need 16 paper, which means because these make 12, we need 1.33 chemical plants. What that really means is we need 2 of them, and the second one won't be running at max the whole time, but I really don't mind because you can also use paper for office supplies in the future, which we will definitely need to make at some point. Not right this moment, obviously, but eventually. We also need a small amount of limestone to be supplied by trucks. And then this paper will mix up with some glass and lab equipment 1, right? Now, one of these, if it's an assembly 3, can supply 2 of the assembly 3s that we'll need to make lab equipment 2. You can make 24, it takes 12. So we'll need 2 of these. And it'll be, not that we have the recipe until we finish researching it, but we'll need to change this. But this will be our footprint for lab equipment 2. Now we know electronics and mechanical parts is what it takes to make lab equipment 1. We have, I think, a robust enough electronics production over here already. This is how we've been supplying it out to the base, right? But we've started, since we switched over to steel instead of iron, we've started making our mechanical parts within the factory of whatever it is that we're building, because it's easier to bring over half the volume of steel rather than the full volume of mechanical parts. It's half the trips over the long run, right? So I think we'll probably want to make, I guess it'll be a pair of mechanical parts assembly 3s as well, which will mean we need some steel. Okay. Then just to round it all out, obviously at the end will be lab equipment 2, not 1, but we still have 18% left. And we're also going to output only the overflow, but the paper that we make as well. And then we'll update this to accept lab equipment 2, and it'll supply these fellas. Now that upgrade also costs a lot of construction parts 3. Because we're upgrading, right? Instead of building it in place from scratch, we're upgrading it in place instead of building from scratch. So I think it's only going to be 90 construction parts 3 per lab, but that's 360 to get across all 4 of these. Similarly, by the way, yeah, that's a pretty expensive setup too. Those assembly 3s really add up. Construction parts 3. So we are going to get this all sketched out here pretty quickly, but it's probably going to take us over the course of the episode to build it. And we'll need to make sure that we are making whatever tweaks we need along the way to our construction parts production to keep that moving along, which it is clearly not right now. You're short on electronics, is it? Well, that's going to be a problem. That's a throughput issue there for sure. But that should resolve it. And if we want, we can prioritize these out. Remember we did that though, because if this suddenly runs out, there are places that require it that are more important than our construction parts. Speaking of which though, we'll be able to tidy all this up, you know? Because we don't need, like, we're gonna build this over here better anyway. And we'll need, certainly, assembly 3s providing the same mechanical parts for our maintenance setup. But we could move it over, keep it separate from this, and we could definitely delete these. Maybe there's a way to sort of save these, though. I mean, we'd need to add to, certainly. But we could kind of merge the lines. Maybe that would be helpful. Let's think about that. But now we have done the research. I'll keep it running in the background on, I don't know, what do we want? Corn. Corn's important. Not yet. It's going to be an episode or 2 before we get to do a full revamp on our food setup. We are very comfortable in the meanwhile with this enormous pile of potatoes. So that is not an issue for us. You know, on the other hand, we have these mechanical parts here that I suppose we should also feed in. Let's keep Bertha out there. How are we doing, by the way, on rubber production? Did this pick back up? I see. Yeah, so we're actually running a little low on diesel right now. These do require it to build, so I think what we might do, I want you to go faster, because like when he unloads here, he can take 2,000 at a time, which means there's already enough there for him. So we want him to move faster. We certainly have the heavy oil lying around for it. And in fact, I think I want to push this out more aggressively. But it might be time to maybe Unity all of these. Oh, great. We've missed a payment. Let's keep these high. I've become more protective over time now of our trade reputation. Even though we're definitely going to go through these construction parts 3. And we are definitely going through our steel too. How's this going, by the way? Are we... Oh, you know what? I don't think we're sending enough coal down. Now that everything is maxed, we probably need to upgrade these just to be safe. Going all the way through. Yeah, and see, this is my concern. We are not actually bringing over. So are we mining enough? Because it doesn't feel like it. Yeah. Lot of excavators sitting still, which I really just don't care for. I know we're upgrading those trucks as we speak. That's another one. But I kind of feel like, in the meanwhile, you know, we have a few of these already around. So let's do that. Our network's doing well, right? We can afford to throw... Oh, no, it's not. Wow, we're getting kind of close there. Okay, no worries. Back to it, though. This will be lab equipment 2, as will this. Cool. So, is there a way to line both of these up? I mean... kind of means this whole space is still going to be a mess, you know? There's not much value in this. And now that I think about it, I kind of want to be able to set the priority for steel input for maintenance separate, right? Like higher, to be clear, than for research. So I think we have to keep these separate. I think we do. Okay. That's fine. Well, with that in mind then, we're now researching nonsense I don't care about, which means you can go, you can go. And in fact, all of this can go. So all of this, this, and this. That's to start. Now let's come back and think about how we want to lay this out, too. I still generally like to have our various inputs and outputs up on the road. We're going to keep it in this area, but I think especially if we're able to scooch this over, we don't need these. I think it would be nice to kind of push it as far this way as we can so that we can conserve space around here. Loot. And a battle that we won. She's on her way back. Okay. And you know, thinking about it, means this can go too, right? Both stacks. We only need the electronics going this way now. It also means this balancer's just like entirely outdated at this point. And if I remember correctly, yeah, we have a whole pile of mechanical parts in here, so I do think we might as well bite this bullet too. So let's say, and well, maybe this is a reason to keep this balancer now that I think about it. Let's say mechanical parts. There we go. Here. So whenever we have extra, you know what I mean? As we very much do right now. We would like to prioritize those to avoid sort of the cost of having to make them ourselves over there. So I think we will deliver these, and I'll say input. Oh, hang on. This is, yep, that was the That was the electronics one on the top. How is this going? Feels like we are just really chewing through it here, huh? I mean, it seems like it's moving, but the coal is tough. How is this going? Still, you're just sitting there. I mean, I guess we just hope this improves over time. You're getting what you need to make those upgrades, though, right? You are. Push those over here. Let them come over this way. We officially have chewed through all of the steel. Okay. Well, I mean, it's working. This is what we have. This is going to be our bottleneck, so we'll just make sure that it's doing all right here. And it'll take as long as it takes. That's all right. This game is about slow and steady. Do not overextend yourself. Let's see. That should go, and that should go. But I think that means we have sort of our... nope. No, because we actually do still then need to build, yeah, these. Not for this, but for this. We still need mechanical parts, right? So this is deprioritized. We would rather be using these. But this will be here. Calling it a backup will undersell it. It's going to be far and away the primary way that this happens. But for now, it isn't. And I think we have to prioritize building that now too. Okay. This is extensible down this way in the same way that, we have room to grow here. We'll grow in parallel with that as well. Okay. So that means that this is basically the edge of our maintenance facility, so we can bring all of this, more or less, over to here. Is that fair? Let's just put it right on this corner. Give ourselves an extra row here. And I mean, this is basically what we want here. Connector up. The other things that we'll need right here are going to be the glass. And then it'll be I almost said vehicle parts. This will be where the lab coat 1 comes in. Now, building pro tip that I sometimes skip over when I do these in a time lapse. We need to get 3 inputs into this row. Where else do we have that in the base already? Why would I reinvent the wheel, right? Copy. Paste. Tidy that up, but that's the point, isn't it? So let's just do that. So then, for example, the simplest thing to do Disconnect glass at the bottom because we have it. Be a little awkward to get it up for a lift there otherwise. But we could basically say flat lift here. Connects. I guess we'll move it back one so that we can connect you here. And that means we can trim this. But that'll be lab equipment. Comes in here on the second level. Enters up. And the last thing we'll need as a direct input here will be the paper. We'll address the paper once we have everything else tightened up here, because we'll make the paper be sort of the second module in this factory. But I think realistically it's probably going to come around the back. So I would say, you know, we'll like trim it like this, you know. And, well, that'll have to change, obviously, but that's okay. We'll get there when we get there. So now we need, similarly, an electronics input here. And to figure out our steel input here, I'll go 5 away, which is exactly what you need for lifts in, lifts out. And we'll say right down the middle, 1, 2, and flat lift, 1, actually, do we need them to meet up? Actually, not sure we do. It's going to be a little bit extra in both cases anyway, right? Do we want the excess to go anywhere? Maybe we do. All right, so here's the thing. Sometimes we need mechanical parts, like right here, to repair the ship. Oh, and by the way, I should quick trade for some iron. Not that we have the steel to spare, but that's how we get iron. And until I do that, we're not going to be able to repair the ship. Okay. But do we want a tiny bit of overflow, basically, available to the base? I think the answer might be yes. I think it might be yes. I don't want the answer to be yes. It's tiny amounts. Maybe the answer is just you can come grab some from this machine right here, and that's it. And there'll be room to do that. We'll leave this open. Maybe that's the answer. Because it's going to be, I mean, you just saw it, to repair the whole ship was like 6. And this is going to be backed up constantly. So I think that's the move. Okay. I've talked myself into it. Hopefully I've talked you into it too. That also just means that this is totally unnecessary. Sure. Right? Works for me if it works for you. Okay. Now, paper time. So, suppose we probably need a balancer in here. We only want to send paper out. if it is excess, you know? We really prefer to send all the paper we need up here, basically. I think that's it. If I do this, will it? Nice. Beautiful. So that's paper. Small trucks will be able to come here to service this as well. Not that there's anything we need, but there's room if we need to extend it a little bit further. Great. Okay. So that's that. Now we have to get limestone threaded. So I think what we're going to have to do is pull this back a little bit. Now that our ship's repaired too, by the way. Is this the last one we can reach? No, okay. We can still explore. Good. But now that we have this here, I think we'll do a U-shaped lift here and here for limestone. And then we can just plug this back in the way we had it, but, you know, one tile back. And we'll say, I kind of want to bring this whole thing over slightly. Tighten it up. Reduce the amount of belting nonsense we have to do. I think I can make this work. We're gonna find out. But I think, yeah, I can. Beautiful. Connected, connected. And then we have to go pipe for steam. Out and over, huh? Fine. No worries. That's okay. And then you'll want water in as well, which we can do like so. It is flowing the right direction. And oh hey, I guess we'll want some wood. Gonna have to bring in some wood. Wow, definitely not that, right? In fact, this is a fair point. All of this should be 6 because none of this is an emergency, right? We just don't go through the tech tree as much if it's not working 24/7. Okay. I actually kind of wonder. Maybe something like this instead. And then just flip that real quick. Cut that. Why don't you like that? Oh, it's facing the wrong way. But this should work. Is that facing the right way? I actually think it's maybe not. Yeah. Hard to see when it's this like gray color. Okay. I think this works. And I think we'll just redraw this. Call it good. Suppose we could even do it smaller than that and go here. And after all the trouble we went through to make that a connector, it won't be necessary anymore, but that'll keep more space available back here. And If we need to move in the future, we move in the future. Okay. I think this is what we need. Priority out there. That's good to go. Okay. Yeah, so that line's going down, which means I really would like this to hurry up. Cool, cool. But now the rest of this can go kind of, you know, as we're able to afford it. Which is the big question, isn't it? I think we can afford half to start. We'll see. But I think that's right. And you know what? We actually don't need this yet. We're not going to have any excess. So half, right? So just the first one. First two. Neat. Let's start there. I think we'll get through all of it. But I also think it's going to take a minute. Let's go. In the meanwhile, we can run down the last little bits of our Lab Equipment 1, Research Lab 1 tech. So that's great. And I suppose we could do a little bit more paving in the meanwhile. Our trucks are too busy. Don't think I want to put them through that. Not right now. Oh, sulfur mine. Very good. That's good. I mean, this is our first source of sulfur that isn't just whatever we happen to get out of our sour water from our refinery. That's important that we know where that is. Yeah, I do not care, actually, that this is low. This is here if it can be convenient. But this is where most of that should come from. Did I just see an ore sorting plant blocked? Is this because you have rock? Jeez. So our trucks are starting to be a bit taxed again. Which is interesting. What is it? Water. Coal electronics. Some of this is we just built storages that require the one-time transfer of a bunch of this stuff. So I don't want to overcorrect necessarily there. Oh, you know what would help over here would be, you know, connecting to the shredder. Probably worthwhile. What do we get? Quartz mine. Quartz you just grind into sand. You can, at least I think of it as essentially equivalent to that. Rubber is not keeping up. It's really not keeping up. That is really a problem. Oh my gosh, diesel is not keeping up. Hang on. Interesting. Is this a pipe throughput issue? Of course it is, yeah. Shoot. Okay. Yep. In fact, that means this has to get, yep, upgraded. Any other sneaky pipes? Yeah, of course. Remember like an episode or two ago, I was like, oh, I definitely caught all the small pipes in the refinery. Yep. does this have any implications? The sour water input is already Mark II, right? Yeah, okay. That's instantaneous. It is really just... Oh. You need... Whoopsie. Okay. Okay, hopefully that helps. Although, of course, now that we finally have the throughput for it, we are out of the Unity for it. And... here's the deal. I was researching to research. We don't need these going. They do take a decent amount of Unity. So I think we're going to call that there for now. This is coming along though. Let's see, we'll need to pull 13 mechanical parts, but you totally can from, actually I guess it was from this one. Well, whenever we get around to getting the steel there, I guess. And we are certainly tearing through steel here for 3s. Oh, right, and, you know, the massive debt we took. Yeah. We might just do it. Well, here, what do we actually need right now? What is it? What is it that we need that we don't yet have? Yeah, so we have need for a couple hundred part 3s. I don't know, that's a pretty significant loan, so I think maybe not. Is there anything we can be doing differently here? I mean, not really, right? It's just our boosting. But, I mean, the good news is this is, in fact, fixing diesel, which should in turn fix rubber. See, it's green now, so everything's good. Might just be time to turn this down to half. But I think, will that finally be everything we need to start churning out paper? That's fun. And that will come over here. We do have glass. I told you earlier in the episode I wasn't going to Unity build everything now because of the patch changes, right? What a liar I am. But our trucks need the help. They're rather busy. Tell me this is at least helping with coal. It is. But we are kind of getting into this rocky part of the mountain. Of course, you all need told to focus on coal, don't you? Well, not all of you, but the ones of you looking at rock do. Okay. That'll help. But, point being, upgrading our trucks did help over here. But my goodness. It's just a lot of rock, huh? We could upgrade this. We still just need trucks coming over here. But hopefully that should, by increasing the rate of rock clearance, because this is 240, right? This can actually sort 240. So if we can exit up to 200 rock, it should actually free up the ability to send through a lot more coal. So hopefully that's helpful. I mean, it's keeping up over here, you know, which is really truly the important part, but still. I'm not in a rush to repair, to be honest with you. There's like, well, I think it's saying 2 damaged first, but I know a pretty good number of these are simply out of range, and it's just not as urgent that we get that explored quite yet. So I think we're going to let that go, especially because it's tearing through diesel as well, right? So it's just not what we want to prioritize at this moment in time. As much as it would be very satisfying to hit the limit on everything that we wanted to explore, I don't think we can justify it right yet. But these keep coming out. What are we up to now? All right, 30 of them, just about. And these are no longer, this is no longer upgrades. This is, I believe, again, continuous production. And, you know, to be fair, right? This is where part of our rubber and diesel problem is coming from, right? Diesel, because rubber comes from diesel right now. But I think we can justify that because our true issue is steel. But okay. Hey, look at this. So what are we missing? Yeah, no, what did I just say? It's steel. Steel is the issue. But I kind of want to prioritize it over here. Yeah, this is lower priority. In fact, I'll even tell it you only have to be like half full. Wow. No, that can't be right. What did we say? We said 7 for these? Yeah, no, absolutely not. This was a temporary fix we made a while back, but we cannot justify that. I don't think we can even justify vehicle parts over research, really. I mean, unless and until this is a emergency, I think we kind of have to drop that down. But hopefully that helps here. Please? Somebody? You can come take it from here. It's gonna go to construction parts, isn't it? Of course it is. Ah, it's not even wrong to do it. Okay. But we are nearly done with all of that then. The other thing that we can do is upgrade these themselves, and they do take that construction parts 2 that we are currently lacking. Or rather, excuse me, construction parts 3 that we are producing over here. Let's do 1 to start. Of course, we need to be producing this before we'll be able to finish it, but we might as well bring over chunks of the rest of it. And I think we can justify cranking that back up for a bit. Our ore is doing just fine. So. And again, this is really truly running at full speed. Okay, good. How's our power plant going? This is all working just fine? Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're using a remarkable amount of it already. You're firing, no problems. Oh, some problems, I would think. Oops. Yeah, in fact, we want probably both of these. Mark 2s. The steam is, yeah, all the way through already. And the exhaust. Okay, that's all fine. You all are working just fine. You're not receiving steam, just exhaust. Good. Okay. I mean, that was not the end of the world, right? We were giving what we needed to, and I think, you know, that's what the coal backup is for anyway, but rather not burn the coal if we can help it. That's good. Do another. We're keeping up on electronics, though. This third one is more than sufficient. I would build the rest of these, right? I just clearly don't trust our raw material production to use them all. And since they use power when they're on, but they use people the whole time, I'd rather kind of keep this where it is. Health problems. Flu. Soon, though, on the other side of this research barrier, we will find ourselves with some anti-pollution technology, which will be great. I'm just delivering the rest of this at this point. Oh, that's great. That means we must be, and in fact we are, producing. Cool. So we're at 50% capacity here, but it's enough to get these built. Wonder... Yeah. This will be a temporary thing too, but I'd rather kind of feed in, at least temporarily, the ones we already have, right? Guess maybe it'll have to enter there instead. That looks terrible, but don't worry, it's temporary. Similarly, clear all this out, right? Cool. That'll get brought over here. Waste not, want not, you know? Let's go. Oh yeah, I mean, we're just cranking that out now. That's wonderful. We're just back to not having to steal. Let's add, by the way, our... How do I do that? What am I doing here? I want it in statistics. I don't know. Yep, I always get flipped with that. But let's get lab equipment 2 up there. 1 off. we don't need it anymore. So that's great. That's coming along. I don't have the Unity for it, that's why. Do we feel good about this? Is this caught up? I feel like it's caught up. We're gonna call it caught up and keep an eye on it. Yes, that's what I was fixing, but thank you. Okay. We have what we need. I'm getting them built. And removing, calling it officially time to start stocking. All right, this is coming along. We're nearly there. You know what I'm really excited for over here? On the other side of this technology, one of the very first things we're going to do is get ourselves a series of upgrades to our production, because this entire setup is fully Unity boosted, and it's just not keeping up with everything we want it to do. So we'll double this whole thing up. It's gonna feel fantastic. We're gonna be swimming in steel for 30 seconds until we spend it all on other stuff, right? That's how the game works. But I'm excited nevertheless. All right. Why on earth would it not be? That's what we want. No dropping stuff off, but please obviously export. Okay. Here it is. Let's get it fully charged up first, right? Get a nice, beautiful view of the belt. Let it run through here. And just for the sake of letting our steel factory know it's on notice, that is going to be the first one that we research now. Of course, don't have people. Now. There it is. Thing of beauty. We have Research Lab 2 liftoff. Now, we also kind of need to build the rest of this to be able to support it. But don't think about that now. This is what we're here for. Beautiful. Gonna let it roll for a moment. But this is where we'll call it an episode. So, as always, thanks so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.